What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of The Hot Seat. I am your hostess, P. Koffe Brown, here in the great state of Texas by way of Houston. And we got a poppin' segment for you tonight. So go ahead, spread the wealth, tell somebody about the show tonight. And I have a very, very special guest on with me tonight and one of my fellow coaching partners in crime in the building on tonight. So please welcome the panel for tonight's edition of The Hot Seat. I have my very own flesh and blood in the building, my youngest child, my mini me, if you will. Yasmin is in the building, and of course, one of my great friends and a fellow coach in the coaching community, Coach Taylor, or Toxic Bay, if you will. That's what I so eloquently call him, Toxic Bay. And we're getting ready to have a really powerful discussion tonight. So as you're coming in, say hello to us and go ahead and connect with some other people and tell them to hop in for tonight's edition of The Hot Seat. This is getting ready to be popping. We're getting ready to have a firecracker conversation. So let's start off with our usual introductions. Taylor, and then, of course, Miss Yasmin.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Taylor Made Speaks. I am so happy to be here because this conversation is going to be fire. Look, I specialize in toxic relationship. That's right. Toxic relationship. I help you exit out of toxic relationship within 30 days or less, guaranteed. And the reason why I can say guaranteed, because I haven't failed, knock on wood, yet.
I love it. Yasmin, welcome in, ma'am.
Hello. Hi, my name is Yasmin. Currently, it's still messing up?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Still?
So it has to do with that mic then.
Try it again. Still doing it?
It's going in and out. So it's the headphones. Try it again without the headphones. Let's try it without the headphones.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it's messing up. But let me go on mute so you can. Let's see if I mute myself, it'll help.
Hold on. Okay, is it better now? No. Wait, what about now?
It was fine for a second. So go out and come back. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Go out, come back, and it should fix itself. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but go out, come back, and then it should fix itself. So anyway, everybody, welcome into this week's edition of The Hot Seat. We're going to have a really, really powerful discussion tonight. It's going to be a great, great segment. So as you're coming in, go ahead, spread the wealth. Let others know that we're live in the hot seat tonight. I'm telling you, it's going to be a really, really good conversation. We're talking about the do's and the don'ts of long distance dating. A lot of people are dating online now. It's a major, major phenomenon where people are dating online. They're connecting with people from all across the globe. And then they're starting to build and forge these relationships as a result of those transactions. And because of that, there has to be a certain amount of etiquette connected and attached to those type relationships. Because as you can imagine, if I don't live in the same state as you, then guess what? The requirements for our connection can't possibly be the same because we're not in the same place. So we're going to talk about the do's and the don'ts of long distance relationships. We're going to talk about the highs and the lows and the in-betweens because guess what? It is not for everybody, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. Long distance relationships are not for everybody. And if you're not able to handle that type of connection and that type of relationship, a long distance connection is definitely not something you want to tap into. So if you are online and you're doing online dating, what I strongly recommend is to go to your advanced filters. They have them on every single dating website, and change your advanced features to match the region that you're in so that you won't find yourself connecting to somebody that is in the vicinity way away from you that you just really don't want to deal with trying to connect with that individual because they're so far away. So if you want to do online dating, you enjoy it and you want to have that experience, phenomenal, fantastic. But you need to do your advanced settings so that you can find somebody that is within your hemisphere. All right. So let's get the party started. Let's get the party started. So Taylor, let's talk about the don'ts first, y'all. Let's tap into the don't. We know what the do's are, but we're gonna talk about the don'ts. So I, of course, have done my investigation. Y'all know me. I got to do my research, my homework, and all that stuff before we start having these conversations. So we can all be on the same sheet of music. All right. So we're gonna have what's called an open forum tonight. It's not going to be one person talking at a time. We're gonna just kind of like vibe off of each other's energy tonight. And you guys can just join the conversation in the chat and all that good stuff. And let people know that we're live in the hot seat. Go ahead and click that SHARE button and tell your friends, hey, P Koffe and the hot seat is vibing tonight. They popping. We got one more guest that will be coming on here real shortly to tap into the conversation on tonight. So let's get the party real cracking tonight. So we're going to start off with the dudes. The don'ts. We're going to start off with the don'ts. When starting a long distance relationship, you need to know what patterns of behavior that you need to really avoid, to stay totally away from. There's certain patterns of behavior that you need to stay away from. So we need to keep these 5 things in mind when we're talking about long distance dating. Blowing up their phone. That's a definite no-no. If you're dating somebody from a distance, y'all chime on that. It's a definite no-no. If you're dating somebody from a distance and you have some expectation that they're going to be able to respond to you like they did if they were around the corner, that's a negative Nancy. That's not going to work. You're going to push said person away because they're going to feel like you're trying to control them. Taylor, talk to us about that. Blowing up somebody's phone and they live 5 states over from you.
Yeah, I think that I think even blowing somebody's phone and they live right down the street from you is a problem. It shows a sense of insecurity. Some people don't like to be left alone, and some people like to be in control. And so if they can have the access to you every second of the way, then they feel that they're in control of you, in control of your life, right? And knowing the fact that you are going to pick up every time that they call, some people get a thrill out of it. Some people get a kick out of it, that I have this person at my fingertips, waiting to be for them to answer the phone. Not only that, sometimes it's like I said, insecurity, or maybe they've been cheated on in the past, right? And so their sense of sanity is to be able to reach you at any given time that they want to. So I think that, yeah, that is a definitely do not.
And you said something about the sense of sanity part. That's a good segue right there when you talk about a sense of sanity, because when I think it's worse if they're away from you versus if they're local. I don't want to have to contend with you feeling like I'm ignoring you all the time, when in fact I'm really not. I just have other obligations in a life outside of this particular connection that we're forging. But unfortunately, you can't really see my schedule. All you can do is go by what I tell you. You can't see what I'm really doing unless, like this. Great example. You see me live, so you know I can't answer the phone right now. But when I get off the live, you're gonna be like, "Well, you're not on the live no more. You're not answering." I had to go take a shower. I had to do my yoga. I got to prep for tomorrow. I didn't have time to talk to you. But
you got to decompress. You got to decompress too.
Right. And you might feel like, dang, I know she's been off live for like a whole hour or something, and I still can't get no time. So I think when it comes to the phone situation, it has to be a scheduling scenario for said person to feel comfortable with the relationship. What you think, Yas? Talk to us.
So can you hear me now?
I hear you. Sound really good, ma'am.
It's my beats.
Oh,
Yeah, I got them to work. So about the whole blowing up thing, the only people that blow up phones are people that are immature. There's no reason why you need to blow up someone's phone. People have lives. It's only 24 hours in the day. You spend most of that time sleeping. Then you got to go to work. Then you got to cook. Then you got to take a shower. Then you have so much stuff. 24 hours seems like a lot of time, but it's not. So a lot of like people, especially men, they don't like to be overwhelmed with like issues and like neediness. People don't like neediness. When you blow up someone's phone, you're showing that I'm not independent. I need someone with me 24/7, and you're showing that you're immature, you're a child because you cannot do stuff on your own. You want someone to be under you or you want to be under someone 24/7, and it's not healthy because then if that person gets ready to leave because they're overwhelmed with that, you're not going to know what to do or where to go.
Facts. Facts. So we're gonna go on to the next thing. So here's the next thing. The second don't is moving too quickly. I dated this guy long distance one time, and he had the audacity to tell me that I was his wife. I said at that point when he said that, when the Son of God said I was his wife, I ain't even talked to him no more. I said I can't do you. I said, how do you figure that I'm your wife when you and I don't even live in the same? You've seen me when we have the visitation ministries, and the visitations are few and far between because we just started this whole process. So how can you say that I'm your wife? How would you can't really know that because you haven't taken the initiative to connect and get to know me. So moving too fast is another major don't when it comes to distance. It's a major don't with people right in the same vicinity. However, I will say this. When I married their dad, we were together for 7 months and we married, but we was in each other's skin all the time. Every time, we were there. It was intentional, if you will. If I'm in a distance between you and I, and you live in there's not the same intentionality, doesn't happen the same way. It is orchestrated totally different. He was at my house, I was at his house. He was going to this place with me, I was going to that place with him. He was cooking this, I was cooking that. It was a piggyback kind of thing, and we invested a lot of energy into connecting and getting to know each other. When you're doing it from a distance, it's not the same thing, and the rate of speed, if you will, is different. It is definitely different. Taylor?
No, 100%. I think, like I said, sometimes when you're in this long distance relationship, because you're not close by, it's almost like living in a fantasy, right? And so some people love that fantasy feel, so they can say, "Hey, you're my wife. You're off limits," right? And they're they're creating this world, or this this fantasy world that you belong to them and you're not with no one else, and we're already married and there's no ring, and I haven't even seen you, we haven't even gone on a date. And one thing that I can say is that the mind is very powerful, right? And so by creating, and I don't know if anybody on this live have experienced this, but when you're talking to somebody and you are desiring to see them and you're visualizing what they look like and what the first meet is going to be, you get so emotionally drawn into this thing. I say fantasy because it hasn't even happened yet. So if it's not happening, then what is this? Um, this story that's being created, that you think you're meeting this amazing person, and sometimes when we meet the person in real life, we're disappointed. But I think, like I said, is that kind of control, but it's like a fantasy control that yeah, we go together, we're in a relationship. I haven't even met you. It's only been a couple of days, or now you're my wife, right? And so I have that attachment towards you, although you're at a distance. Sometimes we get caught up in those
And
things.
and you said something key to that. If you and me, we've never been in the same space at all. What are you talking about? You know, I think when I was younger, I may have been a little flattered by something like that. I'll be honest. once when I was a little younger. I may have been a little flattered and been like, "Oh my God, he said I'm his wife. Oh my God, girl, I just met him, and girl, he told me I was his wife, and oh my God, girl, I just oh." But now, if I hear a son of God tell me something like that, I'm running real fast in the opposite direction. If you've never had an encounter with me directly, you've never been in my space, you don't even know, you don't know enough to make a well-informed decision about me outside of that. Now, I will tell y'all, I have one friend, and I say one, numero uno, who heard his wife's voice on the phone. He flew out to where she lived. I think she was in California at the time, probably like a week or something after that. And he said, "Hey, I want you to be my wife." She was like, "What? Negative." And like 9 months later, they were married. And here it is, 20 years later, they're still together.
See,
Those kind of situations are rare.
100%.
And I said, one friend. I haven't heard of multiple situations where that happened. That's one in 10,000 maybe, where you will see that happen, where that connection, that vibration, that moment, that Kairos moment happens for those two individuals, and bam, the universe just aligns in both their favor, and their person just whoop, there he is, or whoop, there she is, and it's a wrap from there. And those relationships last for a lifetime. However, again, those are few and far between. So, Yasmin, talk to us about, in your age group, if you were to connect with a guy on a dating site, and old boy told you you was his wife. Now he didn't seen your pictures, y'all did FaceTime, whatever, but you never had any time with the guy. What would be going through your mind?
So for me, um, I know that the dudes in my generation are looking for one thing only. Well, let's make it two: manipulation and sex. That's all they want to do. They want to get in your head and then get in your pants. That's what I've been taught my entire life, and I live by it because it's the truth. So for me, if a dude that I just met that I've never seen before, never, well, I've seen him on FaceTime, but I've never seen him in person, tries to like talk to him, I'm your wife, blah blah, I immediately run because first of all, that's like giving serial killer. Why? How am I your wife already? What if I'm a serial killer? That's not healthy. Like it's just not healthy. Two, a lot of dudes in my generation have this thing called love bombing where they show you all this affection at the beginning of the relationship, especially in long distance, because like Mr. Taylor said, they get caught in this like fantasy, like this, they have this satisfaction of knowing like I have someone that I could come back home and talk to every day, and I got this person that makes me feel so good, but I don't see them. So it gives them like a thrill because it's like I can't see you physically, I can't touch you physically, but you're here and we can do everything like we're in a relationship even though we have never met. So it gives them like a build up, like, oh yeah, we're gonna see each other, we're gonna do this, we're gonna get married, we're gonna do all this stuff. But it's not reality. But that's where like immaturity comes in. If you can't separate reality from your relationship, you will never have a stable relationship because that's inconsistent.
So Yasmin, turn your camera off real quick and go put that thing on pause in the hallway. Because I can hear
Okay.
it. I can hear it when you were talking, I heard it. So Taylor, go ahead, piggyback off what she
Yeah.
said while she turns this noise off.
No, 100%. Also, I'll say this, and I almost got caught up in this, right? So there's a young lady that I was talking to briefly, and we were talking, and she fell asleep, but she wanted me to watch her sleep, right? And people do that long distance. People do that, and some people demand that. Hey, I want to watch you sleep. Leave the camera on, right? And so they're videoing and they're watching you sleep. Now, let me say this, right? While I was doing that, it was first of all, it was very uncomfortable for me. But then I tapped into an area that really, really scared me because I felt like I was in control. Like, I'm watching her sleep. Like it's almost like it it gave me a sense of dominance. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't like that. It really scared me, and I didn't like that. I only did it one time, and I don't do that. I don't want nobody watch me sleep. I'm not watching you sleep. And like I said, that's another thing that people do when it comes to long distance relationship. You know, you don't want to go. You know, you remember we stay on the phone until we fall asleep, right? But now it's videoing. And it's like there's guys out there. Sorry to say this. I don't know about the women. I'm only speaking from the men point of view. There are guys out there that demands for you to have that camera on while you fall asleep. And look, yeah.
And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Here, when you were talking, this is what I was thinking about. Welcome in JW in the building, boss man. That is the voice of DFG. If y'all don't know about DFG, I'm not gonna tell y'all tonight, but y'all are missing the treat knowing about our publishing house. But anywho,
The
there
incomparable
was
DFG Publishing.
oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. So that gives that to me, it could be all kind of crazy stuff going on the other end of there when you're asleep, because you got to understand something about when you're asleep. That's the closest thing to controlling you that's possible as a human. Okay, I'm gonna tell you how powerful it is. I'm gonna tell you exactly how powerful it is. When my son was little, we had a situation that happened, and my son had to be completely on point with what he said about a particular situation. Do you know I went in his room every single night and I said these specific words to him every single night, to the point when he had to regurgitate it and he had to do it for an event? He said it verbatim. Freaked me out, right? That's when I first really understood the power of, first of all, hypnotics. And secondly, the power of what happens when we're asleep and how fragile we are. Now, mind you, I wasn't doing it to harm him. But imagine what would happen if you're seeing somebody and they're requiring and demanding you to keep your camera on at night and you can't turn the camera. You don't know what it is that they're speaking into your subconscious that's going to manifest in your conscious state of existence. You have no idea what that recording is that they're putting into your mind while you're asleep. That's the danger of letting somebody do that. Now, there's another component of it. If you and I are really genuinely, authentically loving each other and we're just in that space and it just so happened one night I fall asleep, that's different. I'm talking about habitual stuff where that person is demanding, or like Taylor said, they pretty much require you to keep that camera on while you're asleep. That's beyond a red flag. That is dangerous. That is dangerous. It's also intrusive, because we don't know what happens with us when we're asleep. Some of us have wrestling. I have a friend of mine who, when she gets into stage 4 REM sleep, she fights in her sleep. Could you imagine somebody recording that? Could you imagine somebody violating your personal space so much that they know too much about you? Like when I'm extremely tired, guess what I do in my sleep? I talk in my sleep. Could you imagine what I'm saying? And somebody records that and let somebody know what it was that I said when I was asleep? I do. And I didn't find, God rest my husband's soul, when I was married, he told me, he said, you literally talk to, you were having a full throttle conversation in your sleep. And he said, it only happens when you're exhausted, but it doesn't happen otherwise. And he just looked at me like, and when he said, I was like, what? He said, I'm telling you, when you're extremely exhausted, you talk in your sleep just like you're awake, because you're so exhausted that your body is just like, you didn't give yourself permission to rest properly, in essence. And so I would literally talk in almost like my brain did not shut off from whatever was going on during that day. So imagine if you're with somebody and they have that kind of access to you while you're asleep. And this is somebody you're dating. You don't even know them well enough to give them that kind of power over you while you're asleep. That's a dangerous thing. If somebody tells you that's a requirement and we in the dating space, no, sir. No, ma'am. Mm-mm. No, you might be a witch or a warlock. I don't know what you are. You
Yeah,
might,
that's weird.
I'm telling you,
Mm-mm.
that is something on another level that
Yeah.
I don't want to tap into.
Or
Period.
maybe you have a kink and you like to watch people sleep. That's like one of your little kinks. That's weird.
If it's a
You
fet, I
should
mean, it
not.
could be a fetish. It could be somebody's fetish, but guess what you can do? You can go on YouTube and put in watch people sleep. Watch them people sleep.
Yeah,
They
but if
tell
they're
you
already doing, if people are like infatuated and they're already doing that, and they have someone like they like the way that they sleep, they like when you snore, or they like what you do in your, like if someone likes when you talk in your sleep, specifically you, and they're dating you, they can't find that on YouTube. They have you right there. So why would they not watch you sleep if they
but
have
how
everything
do
that they
they
need right
know?
there?
But that's the key. That's what I'm saying. They won't have that kind of access to be able to know all that. That's my whole
Yeah.
point.
No, I'm saying like if you were one of those people that was like, okay, yeah, you can watch me sleep, or you fall asleep on the phone just randomly and you're talking in your sleep, and they're like, oh, I kind of like that. And they can't find your specific voice on YouTube while you're sleeping, talking in your sleep when you get exhausted. But if you're dating someone and they get to like, ooh, that is weird.
I'm telling you. I mean, and Jason, you can chime in whenever you want. Um, I think when it comes to long distance relationship, there has to be some boundaries set. There has to be some boundaries set because if not, you may find yourself in all kind of scenarios that you're not ready for. One of my best friends and I was talking today, and he was saying, a lot of people require certain physical expressions on videos and stuff like that when you date long distance, right? He said, the danger in that is they could have another device recording you during those sessions.
They
And
can record
nobody,
you on their device now.
but you know that. If you got
Mm-mm, you
my
don't.
device will tell me if somebody's recording me.
Mom,
Believe me
there's
when
a
I tell
thing
you.
called screen recording though. It's a screen recording. You cannot know if you're on FaceTime with someone, you will not know if someone's screen recording you.
That's the
It's
reason why
no
we
way
got
to tell.
these videos on the show now, Jason, because they know
It's no way to
you
tell.
don't know about.
I guarantee you, someone can sit there and screen record everything that you do from the time you get on the phone, and it basically records your face and their face on FaceTime without the audio, and they can record everything. And once they end it, doesn't the phone doesn't even go on pause. You don't even know that they're on pause to end the video. It just ends.
The only thing about that is I know about the recording component, but they're on there with you. I'm talking about
Yeah,
taking a
but
whole
they can turn
nother
their
device.
camera off.
Well, true.
And they won't be, or they can edit it. I mean, there's stuff people can do. They don't have to leave you on there. There's like editing to where they can green screen it and switch from like this part of my wall and put it on Mr. Taylor's wall, or take Mr. Jason's wall and put it on your wall and switch it over.
Yeah.
And you will never know that it was edited. It
If
was
you're
just like a
doing it
regular
from a
video.
computer, you can literally uh, have a software that actually just records your screen, period. Everything you do on your screen is
Yep.
recorded all day, every day.
And see that's what I'm saying. There is certain that's why we're talking about the don'ts now, y'all. We're gonna talk about the do's in a minute, but we wanted to get into these don'ts when it comes to long distance dating before we get into the do's. And so you have to say whatever that boundary is, I'm not crossing it with said person. It's just not gonna happen because I have to not only protect myself, I have to protect the integrity of my brand, my business, my future, and everything else because I don't know this person's intentionality, especially in the inception of building relationships with somebody. And some people, they so slick with it, they can take you on a ride for months, and you will have no idea what their real intention is. So you got to use wisdom, and you have to say, hey, let's talk about what our boundaries are. Where let's be real. Let's keep it a buck. Let's talk about the boundaries, what we are and what we are not going to do as we're learning each other, getting to know each other, and things like that. What's up? Let's talk about it because I want us to be real clear about what it is that we're doing. Period. So let's go on to the next one, y'all, because we halfway. This is juicy, y'all. This is juicy. I'm enjoying it. So let's go on. So the fifth one, well, 4, and then we're gonna go to the dudes because this is real juicy. Keeping secrets. Any relationship requires honesty. I'll tell you. I was telling my best friend because we were talking about the show for tonight. I said there was this guy that I was dating recently, and he lived up north. And we were vibe, I've been knowing for years, like 5 years or something like that. So we started talking and, kicking it, whatever. Well, his birthday came up and he disappeared on his birthday. I called him, I texted him, just chopping it up like, what's up? Happy birthday, whatever. Oh, yeah. That was weird. Okay. So, and he disappeared on me on his birthday only. Any other time he was around, any other time he was available, any other time we chopping it up talking, but he literally disappeared on me on his birthday. Let me tell y'all how I respond to that kind of stuff. The son of God ain't never heard from me since. Never heard from me since. Because what you will not do is do the disappearing game with P. Koffe Brown. I don't play that game at all. And a birthday is extremely significant. Y'all know how important a birthday is. If somebody disappears on a birthday, that's a real clue that is something else going on with that individual. If they're available all the rest of the time, and then on their birthday they disappear, something going on with that individual. So instead of me going through trying to act, I'm not going to ask you no questions. We're not getting into no debates and no arguments, no confrontation. I just do what you did. I got ghosts. End of discussion. That's keeping secrets instead of being honest about whatever it is you're doing. Because like I tell people all the time when it comes to long distance, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, we're not in the same space, period. So certain things are not going to be applicable because guess what? We're not in the same space. So honesty has to be in the forefront, especially when you're dealing with that kind of relationship. What y'all say?
Well, I don't know what's been said, but since we're talking about the don'ts,
We're talking about this right here about keeping secrets. That's what we're talking about right now.
well, I know. But what I'm saying is, first of all, I just want to get this out. If you're going to be in a long distance relationship, don't. That's just my opinion on it. Because I don't think long distance. Don't get into a long distance relationship. Because most people aren't built for it. And like you said,
why are you saying like that though?
Because most people aren't built for it. Like you just said, with your situation, the dude got ghost on you for his birthday. Why? Because he went out with somebody else for his birthday. Somebody else was entertaining him for his birthday. Now, unless you are capable enough to understand, look, we're not in the same space. We don't live in the same city. So when I'm not there, do you, but just understand when I come around, I don't want none of your drama. I don't want to run into none of your people. I don't want to hear about no sob stories, no sad stories that they don't understand who I am. It's going to be you and I when I come to town. When you come to town, same scenario. It's going to be you and I. No interruptions. Most people aren't built for that. So that's just the reality of the situation.
You just said something, but you just said something key. Stay right there. When I'm not around you, that's it. It is what it is. We're both adults. And when the way you just said it, it kind of puts things into perspective. I got another friend that thinks exactly like you. You know what he says, Jason? We just friends. We really ain't in no relationship. He says it all the time. He was like, I don't think it really is a such thing as a long distance relationship. We just friends. You live there, I live here. When we get together, we have a great friend time, whatever that translates into. And then you go back home to your life, I go back home to my life. Where's the intertwining in that? Where are we intertwining at? And he always says that because he's like, I think people have a misconception when it comes to distance. Forced distance is a difference between deliberate distance.
Right.
So forced
Right.
distance is like military stuff, or if you have a spouse that travels and they have to be gone extensive periods of time, that's totally different versus intentionally meeting somebody in another space or another city. What is your real purpose for doing that? Now that you mentioned that, Jason.
Yeah, but the thing is, let's just say I met someone in I don't know, I met someone back in New York where I'm from. I went home to visit. I meet someone, and we hit it off. So we start communicating. We start trying to see each other. Every now and again, I fly out there, or every now and again, she flies over here, and we are continuing to build this relationship. But we live in two different cities. You have to develop it somehow if that's what you choose to do. But if you don't set those boundaries up front and have an understanding up front, now granted, and I'm not trying to sound sexist, but I just said most people ain't built for that.
You trying
So
to say
no matter
women?
how
You
you
trying to say
start,
women?
somebody catches feelings sometimes.
You
I'm just
see
gonna
what
say
he
it like
doing,
this:
Yasmin? He
somebody
talking
catches
about the
feelings
girl.
sometimes, and then they want to
Hold
switch up.
on.
You need to, we need to figure out what we doing. And it's just like, well,
It's
we
the
knew what we
truth
was doing
though.
from the beginning. So when did that change?
Okay, I agree with you to a certain extent. Mom, I agree with you to a certain extent. The thing about it is, um, that was a lot to unpackage right there. The thing to understand is that when you get into a long distance relationship, it's still a relationship. So if you're gonna get into a long distance relationship and you choose, I want to talk to somebody all the way 4,000 miles away from me, and you come and see them, y'all are coming to see each other, y'all are going on dates, y'all are meeting each other's friends or whatever, y'all are social dating, like y'all are going out and posting each other on social media. Where in that do you see like where how is that a friendship when you go back to home? Because at the end of the day, when you go back to home, you're still gonna talk to them. You still going, hey babe, how was your day? You
I
still
didn't
going,
say that was my philosophy. I
no,
said
I'm
that
just
was
saying,
free.
I'm just saying, it's a relationship, which is the key word, long distance relationship.
But
The
did you?
only thing that's different is the distance. If you go see somebody if you go see somebody in Detroit, y'all stay together for a week. Like you stay with that person for a week. You come back to Texas, they come down here. Where in that do you see a friendship? Because y'all are not coming down here and y'all are not like, oh, we're just gonna hang out. But like that again, that's like the communication thing that Mr. Jason was talking about with the boundaries. If you come into the relationship and that person tells you, I just want to do casual dating, I know that I am gonna come see you and I do want to be with you or whatever, but I am also going to talk to other people, that's different. If you come into the relationship and you're a mature person and you tell me as a woman that has feelings and emotions, I want to be in a committed relationship with you. I know that the distance is there, but I want to come see you. I want you to come see me until we can actually get together and figure out a living situation or whatever we want to do in a long-term relationship. That's a relationship. No matter how you want to slice the pie, just because it's long distance doesn't mean it's not a relationship. Because you can do whatever you want when you go back home, but that has to be discussed at the beginning because that's not a relationship.
So that's
That's
friends
someone
with
that
benefits.
you're
That's friends with
infatuated
benefits.
with.
Then no, that's friends with
Yeah, that's
benefits.
someone that you're infatuated with, that you want to come see me every now and then because you like my presence, but you don't like me as a person. Because someone that likes me as a person, when you come see me and you talk, when you go back home, you're not gonna want to entertain whoever else is in your hometown because you have me.
Jason,
That's your child.
the verdict is in.
That's
That
your
is my
child.
child. I love
But
it.
there's facts to what she's saying because I know for me personally, I tried that in my younger years, and that's why I say don't do it. Um, because it can start off great, but you have to like I said, everybody's not built for that. Everybody's not built for certain types of relationships, and
And
I agree.
every personality, I think it's another thing too, is that you have to know your personality. you have to understand your personality. If you have a personality where you're, the love languages, I kind of subscribe to them to a certain extent, and I don't to another extent. Nonetheless, the fact is, if I'm a physical touch person, I'm gonna be touching somebody. If you live over here and I'm over here, and I'm a physical, if my real language of expression is physical touch, I'm not going without touching. That's just not gonna happen. So that this is something that we have to be honest about, and that's why I was saying that it's important to be honest. That's why this one, when it says don't keep secrets, that's why that part in the don'ts is so important. If my language is physical touch, I cannot do distance. It will not work for me, because at some point I'm going to require that person to give up whatever space they're in to combine with me in whatever space I'm in. Period.
So that's what Mr. Jason was talking about when he said some people are not built for it. Because if you can't hold yourself accountable, and when I am not around, you have to touch somebody else, your love language is not physical touch. You're a cheater. You don't know how to keep your hands to yourself. You don't know how to practice social distance. That's don't have nothing to do with your love language. My love language is cooking for people. Just because if I had a boyfriend all the way in North Carolina, just because he's not down here doesn't mean I'm finna go find someone in Texas and go cook for them to try to please my needs.
That's called acts
No.
of, that's like called acts of service, man.
Yeah, but that's not acts of service. That's me not knowing how to keep my hands or my love to my partner. That
Now,
means that
now,
I don't want to
now
be in a
dig,
relationship.
now dig this. If that is your language, that's what Jason was talking about. That's why I said it's important to be honest. If that is your language, you're not going to be able to go without it. It's a part of your makeup. Do you realize? Let me give you a perfect example. The biggest example we have is COVID. People who needed physical touch, they almost died. I'm not talking about, no joke. Some people, they literally almost died because they couldn't touch. It's a part of who they are. It's a part of their human anatomy for them to be able to touch another human. They can't function at their best and highest use without that element of a relationship. And it's not to say that they don't have self-control, they don't have discipline, but I'm only gonna be able to discipline myself, but for so long without being able to touch my person. Now, we're not talking about sexually, we're talking about just human connection. Like, I have friends who have children, they always touchy feely. I'm not a touchy feely person. So I'm good without it. I'm good without it. Yasmin will tell you I'm not touchy feely. On
Yeah,
the
I
other
am.
hand, she's touchy feely. So
Yeah.
on the other hand, I have to negotiate to give her what she needs from me, and she gives me what I need from her. So sometimes I don't want, she know when I don't want to be touched, but at sometimes I have to forget about myself to accommodate her needs. Now, when it comes to physical touch and an intimate relationship, that's not negotiable. It's not
Mm.
something that people can negotiate, not for a long period of time. So if they do meet said person, like Jason said, you're in New York, you meet said person, y'all vibing, and it's something about that person that you just want to explore. You have to be honest and say, hey, my language is touch. I'm not talking about sexual touch. I'm talking about, I need to have you on the couch. My hand got to be on your leg. My head got to be in your lap. Something. I have to be able to touch my person. I can't go without it for 2, 3, 4. I can't do that. That's not a part of how I'm wired. That's another reason why it's important to know you before you attempt to try to be in a relationship with somebody that's in another space. You got to know yourself.
Yeah.
You got to be true to you.
I do disagree about the negotiation part in a relationship because every relationship is a relationship. Me and you have a mother-daughter relationship. I know sometimes you don't want to be hugged. You know, sometimes I don't want to be hugged. Even though I'm a very touchy person, sometimes I don't want to be hugged. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
But when you're in a relationship, negotiation and compromising is one of the biggest things in a relationship, whether you're this long distance or you're face to face. If you tell your partner, look, I like to be touched on sometimes, but I'm really not a touchy feely person. I don't really like to be touched. they have to respect that. That's where the boundaries come in. If that person is touchy feely person and all that other stuff, you have to respect that person's, like, you have to respect it. You have to, if you want to be in a relationship with that person. Otherwise, find you someone that likes to be touched, or find you someone that's similar to you that don't like to be touched or likes their space. But even if you intertwine with someone, just so happily you intertwine with them, and they so happen to, one of y'all like to be touched, one of y'all don't, you have to compromise, because you cannot be in a relationship without compromising. That's just the truth. You cannot, there's no relationship that you know right now that's actively working, that's not toxic, or that's not dealing with any type of disagreements that are compromising ever.
I'm glad you ended with compromise because at first I was like, but you ended well, so I'll give you that. I'll give you that because it has to be a compromise because you never know what person if you never know what that person's idiosyncrasies are until after you get to know them, and you may already have feelings for that person, so they're not a touchy feely person. Okay, cool. I may be. So at some point, you got to hug me because I need to get a hug. But I understand that's not your love language. And I think that's the reason why a lot of relationships don't work is because people try to love from their perspective and not from the other person's.
And that's
Because
what I tell people all the
if
time.
you're if
You can't love me with your lenses. You have to
right,
love me with
you
my
can't
lenses.
love me by your love language because
Right.
that doesn't answer my love language. That doesn't answer my love responsibility or need. You're not fulfilling my love need by answering your love or by responding by your love what is it called?
Language.
Thank you. You can't if if yours
See
is
how I just responded to your need?
well. See, look at that. I love you too, sweetie. I love you too. But um, my love language has to be answered, or you have to respond by my love language to make it work. Because if you don't, everything you do, you're like, I'm doing everything I know how to do, and I'm like, you're not doing enough. You're gonna drive each other crazy.
Go ahead,
I
Taylor.
agree with that.
Taylor wheels is spinning. Go ahead, Taylor. He looking all deep and spiritual.
I'm just trying to stay on. I'm just trying to stay on here. Like, don't kick me off. But I'm glad that Jason said what he said, and you touched on it too, Miss Brown. Is that needs and wants, and that's one thing I remember when I was dating in a long distance relationship. Um, you know, I'm gonna reframe what's my opinion about long distance relationship, but I'll say this. I'll say that it's very disguisable, meaning
Don't refrain now.
you
Don't
don't
refrain.
you don't get to see the whole picture. That's just my personal opinion. And so when I I know that I was a touchy feely person. I like affection, but until I got into this relationship, and then when I finally met the person, I didn't get the affection. I realized that it's something that I need, not want, and that's one thing that we got to understand: is it a want or is it a need, right? And that's, I think that's another conversation. But if you know that you need certain things, I feel long distance relationship might not show you those things, right? Because like I said, some people can act the part to get the prize, and then once have the prize, go back to how they are, right? And so that was just something for me when it comes to affection. So moving forward, I know if you're not an affectionate person at all, then it will never work with me, because that's something. Because
Now I will say this while you're on that vein. Usually when somebody is not affectionate at all, there's some kind of dysfunction going on with that in most instances, because humans are wired for compilation and connection. We're not wired to disengage. So if somebody is totally unplugged and they really don't want to be affectionate at all, that's something's going on. There's an underlying challenge with that individual that could be from their childhood or teen years or some type of traumatic experience, or they could have just been raised in a household where there was no connection, there was no bond there. They didn't have a connection or a understanding of physical expression and how important it is and all that kind of stuff. I don't know whether y'all noticed or not, but I'm sure, Taylor, I'm almost certain that you've studied some form of psychology. B.F. Skinner, you know who B.F. Skinner is? The psychiatrist. He was the psychiatrist that was known for forcing people to not be able to physically touch. He literally had a baby, left the baby in the carriage. This was early 1900s, and did not give the baby no affection whatsoever. Then he had another child where he showered all the infection and all that, and then he did these clinical. He got obsessed with what happens to a human that's not being attended to versus a human that is being attended to. Talk about the cognitive functions, the ability to connect socially, the ability to speak fluent English by a specific time frame, and so on. So there were so many defects attached to the disconnect. So when you really think about it, if somebody doesn't want to be affectionate at all, there is something missing. Something huge is missing, and it can cause over time some real challenges in your relationship. That can be real bad for the person on the receiving end of that, because life is going to happen eventually, and I'm going to need you to touch me.
I agree. But one thing I will say is, like you said earlier, you have to learn yourself. I know, like, for my friends, like, I have a friend, my best friend, she does not like being touched. Like, she's worse than you, mom. Like, she don't like to be hugged. Even if she's crying, do not touch her. She does not like to be hugged. She does not like
Now,
to
I'm
be
not extreme like that. I don't want
anything.
y'all to be
Yeah.
thinking that I got some
She does not
extreme
like that.
extremities, because I don't have extreme stuff going on.
Yeah. No, no, no.
No.
But when she's like in a relationship, she wants to be touched 24/7. She has separated the two from like a friendship versus a relationship versus like someone she just met. Like for me, like she'll let me hug her. Her significant other, she'll let him hug her. But when it comes down to like people that like any acquaintances, anything, don't touch her. She doesn't like to be touched. And it's because when she was younger, her mom did not show affection to her. Her mom only showed affection to her older brother, not her younger siblings, not her, nobody else but her older brother. So, but she's separated the two. She knows herself. She knows I like to be touched sometimes, and I like to be touched by certain people. I don't like to be touched by everybody.
Go ahead, Taylor. We didn't mean to cut you. I mean, you just got me excited when you said that. I just couldn't hold my peace no more.
No, it's really, like I said, it's really something so crazy, to really, like I said, to each his own for long distance relationship. I'm just, not a cheerleader of it, because it can be really covered up and hidden. I don't think people true colors come out. I think it's a weekend getaway where people are just so excited to see each other, and sometimes, they don't let out the trueness of themselves. But this whole touching and affectionate stuff, like I said, people need to understand: is it a want?
Oh my gosh, he didn't got kicked off 4
And he
times.
was getting good. I
It
can't believe it. He just dropped off right in
was.
the middle of a sentence.
You know, that's the 4th time Taylor got kicked out tonight. Something's going on with his band where he is. That bandwidth is not. It's tripping tonight. Go ahead,
But
Taylor.
I will tell you this. I agree with him to a degree, about it being a fantasy, because typically, if you're going to see somebody, even if it is for a week, it's temporary, and you're going to always have your best foot forward. Even if it's the things that you don't like, you're not going to immediately speak up. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that, because you're going home. A couple of days, I'll be home in my own space. I'll be like, "What? See you next time." And we
And
talk on the phone and be in love.
I think we do give concessions for stuff, especially to somebody that we don't want, if we're not going to be dealing with on a continuous basis. I think we really do.
But
Right. We
eventually, you
give a
might have
lot
to
of
talk
concessions
about
to
it.
those people.
I
What'd you
think
I
say?
so.
think eventually, I think eventually, like if, like I said, if you're gonna make it long term, you have to talk about it. Cause let's say like somebody, you go to their house is dirty, or like they have like certain stuff in their house you don't like, and then y'all want to be together for a long term, y'all want to move in with each other, y'all gotta come to some sort of like arrangement with that. You can't come to my house if my house is spot clean and your house is dirty. You're not gonna come mess up my house and make it all junky.
Yeah, that would be a deal breaker if I walked into your house and your
Yeah.
house was filthy. I just couldn't do that.
There's like certain stuff
My
where you're just
spirit would be
like,
vexed.
oh, yeah.
I'd be like, you want to go out? Let's go somewhere.
But you know what's scary to me? That a person wouldn't even clean up knowing somebody's coming. That's scary to me.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Some people are just
That's
comfortable.
the worst thing about it is that they're comfortable with it.
Yeah,
Because
they're
if they're that
comfortable.
comfortable to have somebody come over and that's their cleanest, because most
That-
people clean up. Most people do clean up. That, but their level of cleanliness is a total another situation.
You saw what Jason said in the comments?
No, I missed it. Oh,
Facts
really?
on facts on facts. Jason is a whole vibe in the comments tonight.
Right.
He should have had his butt on the show. That's what he should have did. He should have had his butt on the show. But listen, we have come to the top of the hour, and Taylor then got kicked out 7 times. Taylor, say what you got to say, because the spirit was on you, and then it just disappeared.
I don't know what's going on tonight.
You better say it quick.
Say
Tonight,
what you got to say right now.
and every time I come back on, I have to have a smile on my face.
You got to fake it
Oh,
till you make it. Fake it till you make it.
absolutely. Look, all I gotta say is my personal opinion. Once again, is that long distance relationship might work for some. However, you got to really, really get to know the individual inside out. You got to see their quirks. You got to see when they get upset. You got to see all those things because they put on their best foot when they see you once a month or every 2 months or 6 months or what have you. And the things that you really, really need to be put up front and be known because, like I said, people can put on this show, and being with somebody for 6 months and then getting married sounds great. But if you don't know them inside out and know what gets them upset and tick and all that stuff, then you could be missing out. So for me, I'm good.
Yeah, I forgot where I saw it. There was a psychologist who was sharing about that. They said if you never face any kind of calamity or controversy while dating, then you definitely don't need to get married. They just said it straight out. If you have no controversy and no calamity, no differences of opinions, none of that stuff, you definitely don't need to get married because you
Yeah.
don't know that person's everybody has a dark side. Darkness and light have to be in they have to coexist. It's just a way that the world was designed and created. If we had light all the time, there would be no rest in the earth. We would blow up eventually. There'll be no time of rest for the earth to rest. So we can't have light all the time. You have to have some kind of darkness. And so you have to be able to experience that with a person, a loss of someone, a loss of a job, or you losing this, or something has to happen that will show you how this person deals with calamity, chaos, confusion, in something has to happen. If you don't have anything to happen while you're with that person to show you that other element of their personality, you're going to be in for a not so good treat when life happens and that person actually has that experience. You're not going to be equipped to even address what's happening with them or how they handle it. I have a friend whose husband, literally, this was the craziest thing. His mother passed away very tragically, and it messed him up. So every year around her birthday, he would disappear for 3 to 5 days. Just gone. She wouldn't be able to call. Nobody would know where he was. And he'll just all of a sudden, after about day 4 or 5, he would pop up again. And now this happened before she married him. How she missed it, I have no clue. But she missed it. Nonetheless, she ended up marrying this guy, and having to deal with that was tragic for her. You can only imagine if I'm married to somebody, they go disappearing on me for 3 to 5 days, and they do it every year around the same time. That is a lot to contend with. But she said something that I've always thought about to this day. She said, I married him for the best of times and the worst of times. This is our worst. And she ended up helping him to be able to get the therapy that he needed, to get the, to deal with that. Because, I mean, his mother died very tragically. And because of that, it did something to him. It really did. It hurt his very soul. And she had to learn how to cope with him, and he had to learn how to cope with life. He had to learn how to build that bridge so that he wouldn't destroy his whole family behind it. Because everybody couldn't handle something like that, Taylor. Everybody couldn't handle something like that.
Not
I
at all.
would have been like, you left for 5 days, you sure right. Go ahead and stay gone. That's what you need to do.
I'd have been deuces.
Right.
Yeah,
But
that's how my friend is too.
yeah,
He
but
leaves
because she was
anything
equipped,
traumatic.
right? Because she was
Anything
equipped to
traumatic.
handle him, and she loved him enough to deal with him through all of that, all of it, all of it. So we have come to
You
the
know
top
what
of
she
the
should
hour.
have did? Oh,
Don't say it yet. I can tell by the look on your face. It's about to be total toxic.
she should have just followed him. I would have followed him. Where are you going? If you followed him, she followed him at least one time just to see like where he's at. She would have been in for a rude awakening.
It would
That
have
would
been a
have been
domestic
something.
violence. It would have been a
Yeah, it would
domestic
have been something, all right, because I would have had to know where you going for 4 to 5
See,
days. That's not gonna slide with me.
hey, Miss Brown. Yasmin, is that you that you might have some stalking tendencies right there? I don't know.
Yes, we're like, okay, I know the day coming up. So what I'm gonna do is
Yeah.
we leave for work that morning. I'm gonna be at his job, and I'm gonna be in another unmarked
No,
car.
I wouldn't even do all that. I'm gonna take it the easy route. I'm just gonna put a tracker under the car. So whenever you go to work,
There you go.
I'm not even gonna leave the house. I'm gonna just know where you're going. And when you get back, we're gonna have a discussion because I don't want to be with you no more. And like, if you no,
But
she is a strong woman
but
because
guess
you have to
what?
be one strong woman to stay with somebody. And she knew, first of all, she knew before she got married. She ignored it. It's called ignoring. I
But
guarantee you, something traumatic happened to him when they were dating. She seen it and she was like, "Oh, he's gone. It's fine. He'll be back." She just chose to ignore it.
that's why I said what I said
So
is
that's her
that
fault.
paying attention component when it comes to dating. You got to pay
Mm-mm.
attention.
No, you don't even have to pay attention to that. You didn't text me good morning today, but you've been doing it all week. Where'd you go? I don't understand. How you just don't text me for 5 days straight? Are you dead? You telling me your family don't know where you're at? You're not on social media? That's why. And the tracking device wouldn't even be toxic. I'm trying to make sure you're not dead. I need to know if you're alive.
Yasmin, you are my homie for life. I promise you that you
You
are my
that's
homie for
something about
life.
safety. I'm an overthinker. I need to know if you're okay. You coming home after 4 or 5 days, did someone take you? Are you good? Did you drive there purposely? And first of all, if they're married, if y'all have a joint account, is he taking money out of the account? Is he going to a resort? Because I know you're spending gas money. So where are you getting the money from for 5 days to go
This
somewhere?
girl is a whole vibe. Listen, Yasmin, we are at the top
I
of
ain't
the
mad at you. I
hour.
would have done the same thing, sweetie. I would have done the
Yeah.
same thing.
It's a
We,
lot there. It's a lot. You gotta know when they doing laundry. You got a suitcase on the way to work. You didn't already planned on leaving every year on this day because of one thing. Now I understand the mom died traumatically, and I'm so sorry about that. But come on now, you
that's
gotta
why.
come to a point in time where you gotta understand. I got a wife and children at home. I can't be doing this. This is ghetto.
Amen, Yasmin. Amen. So we are at the top of the hour, and as you can see, our guest panelist tonight was lit. Okay, she was litty lit. It was so exciting to have Yasmin on the show tonight, y'all. So we're gonna have her back.
I was about to say
Sure.
she has to come back.
She has got to come back. Okay. So we're going to do a round two. We don't have a choice. We only talked about the don'ts. We did not get to the do's. We were on the don'ts the whole entire hour. We've got to come back and do a part two for the do's of long distance dating. So y'all come back and see us next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. And we're going to talk about the do's of long distance dating. This has been an incredible show tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in, tapping in. Special thanks to our panelists for tonight. I definitely enjoyed the segment. We had a blast tonight. We really did. It was fire. It was lit. So thank you guys for being here. And to the audience, grace, peace, and blessings to you and your family. You'll be able to catch us at Koffe10k.com. That's Koffe 10k.com. Connect with us on all social media platforms for more dynamic conversations. And of course, we're going to have my mini me back in the building because we just can't do it without her, for sure. Not for this conversation. Until next time. Right. Until next time. Good night, everybody. Blessings. Y'all be safe. Enjoy the balance of your week. We'll see you next week on the hot seat.